Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us again. In the headlines, Senator Wabara accuses the APC of stifling democracy in Nigeria. ADC opposes National Assembly's proposal for early general elections. Ex-Governor Peter Obi blames APC policies for rising poverty. Abia takes bold steps towards innovation as Governor Oti launches tech board. NANS gives ASU and the federal government 7 days to resolve dispute. Muswen seeks greater political participation of Muslims in Nigeria. In the business world, CBN and Finance Ministry present Nigeria's economic progress at G24 meeting. Zenith Bank celebrates successful public offer and over 600 billion naira capital base. On the foreign scene, Belgian police clash with protesters as austerity anger grips Brussels. Syria president pledges to strengthen historic ties with Russia. And sports, Callum Smith confident of securing David Benavidez's fight in 2026, and Paratici returns to Spurs after 30-month FIFA ban. Now the news. Former Senate President and Chairman, Board of Trustees, BOT, of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Adolphus Wabara has said that the defection of PDP governors to the ruling All Progressives Congress APC had confirmed his earlier warning that the APC had an agenda of pushing Nigeria into a one-party state. Senator Wabara, who was reacting to the latest defection of Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State and the rumored planned defection of his Bayelsa State counterpart, Governor Duoye Diri, to the APC, accused the national ruling party of orchestrating the gale of defection that had hit various opposition parties. Reiterating his earlier warning that one-party state is a prelude to autocracy and retrogression, the former Senate President accused the APC of stifling democracy in Nigeria. He expressed regret that the Nigerian democracy, which had thrived under the PDP, is being strangulated under the watch of the ruling APC. Senator Wabara said the defections were not because the APC is a better platform, but because it has ambushed democracy. The former Senate President said the ruling party had not demonstrated any capacity to navigate Nigeria out of the woods. He argued that the PDP governors defecting to the APC had all performed better than their APC counterparts, but were only leaving the PDP mainly to safeguard their political future. He, however, declared that the departure would not lead to the collapse of the PDP, but enable the former ruling party to reposition ahead of 2027. Senator Wabara said that although some of the governors and a few prominent members of the party had left the party, the masses are still with the PDP. He urged PDP members, especially those from the southeast, to remain steadfast in their support for the party, expressing confidence that a brighter future awaits the party in 2027. Senator Wabara told the ruling APC not to celebrate yet, predicting that the ruling party is headed for implosion. The African Democratic Congress has cautioned the National Assembly against this proposed plan to amend the Electoral Act and shift the 2027 general elections to November 2026, warning that such a move could disrupt governance and derail Nigeria's development trajectory. The ADC, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, said bringing the elections forward would shorten the effective period for governance, plunge the country into a perpetual campaign cycle, and hinder the implementation of long-term development plans. On Monday, the National Assembly began moves to adjust the 2027 general elections, proposing that the presidential and governorship polls be held in November 2026 instead. The proposal has since sparked mixed reactions among Nigerians and political observers. While some critics accuse lawmakers of attempting to extend President Bola Tinubu's tenure indirectly, others argue that the move, if properly managed, could help strengthen Nigeria's electoral process and improve the credibility of the system. The proposed change is part of broader amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act and seeks to advance the elections by about 6 months to ensure that all pre- and post-election disputes are resolved before the official handover date of May 29, 2027. If approved, it would mark a major departure from the traditional February or March election timeline. Reacting, the ADC urged lawmakers to focus on strengthening democratic institutions and ensuring political stability rather than engaging in what they described as politically motivated amendments. The The ADC urged the National Assembly to drop the proposal and instead focus on comprehensive electoral reforms that guarantee credible polls, swift dispute resolution, and institutional efficiency. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi has accused the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) government of worsening poverty in Nigeria, claiming that over 50 million Nigerians have fallen into poverty since President Bola Tinubu assumed office in 2023. Mr. Obi made the claim while reacting to a World Bank report which revealed that about 139 million Nigerians are now living in poverty, up from 87 million 2 years ago. Describing the development as a heartbreaking reflection of how deeply our nation is failing its citizens, Mr. Obi said the sharp rise in poverty levels exposes the economic mismanagement and misplaced priorities of the current administration. The World Bank report shows that despite the government's celebrated economic reforms, Nigeria remains the world's poverty capital, with the number of poor citizens growing at an alarming rate. According to Mr. Obi, reforms introduced by the Tinubu administration lack a clear strategy and fail to channel potential gains into productive sectors that can create jobs and drive inclusive growth. He urged the federal government to adopt people-focused policies that prioritize production over consumption, support small businesses and farmers, and make substantial investments in education and health care. Governor Alex Oti of Abia State has inaugurated the board of the Abia State Technological Skills Acquisition Center, appointing globally acclaimed technologist Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe as chairman. The inauguration, which held in Umuahia, the state capital, aims to position Abia as a hub for innovation, merit, and practical skills development, marking a major step towards the state's technological advancement. Governor Oti described the establishment of the board as a bold step towards building a future anchored in innovation and merit, while emphasizing that the initiative reflects his administration's commitment to equipping Abians with the technical expertise needed for global competitiveness. The newly constituted board features a blend of accomplished professionals across various fields. Members include Engineer Cletus Obunaya Ekbo, Vice Chairman, Engineer Peter Ukono, Director General, Mr. Gerald Ilukwe, Mr. Chinenye Mba Uzoko, Mr. Fidelis Mweze, Dr. Christopher Kalu Okoro, Mr. Chukwudi Ubonna, and Dr. Rita Ndidi Amuchinwa. Governor Oti expressed special appreciation to inventor Engineer Ukono, who returned from the United Kingdom to serve his people, highlighting his story as an inspiration for other diaspora professionals to contribute to the state's development. He charged the board to create an enabling environment where young Abians can acquire practical technological skills, drive innovation, and unlock economic opportunities. The governor also reaffirmed his administration's determination to make Abia a beacon of technological excellence in Nigeria and beyond. The National Association of Nigerian Students have issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities to resolve their ongoing dispute and prevent another strike action that could disrupt the nation's academic calendar. In a statement signed by NAN's President Comrade Olushola Oladoja, the students' body expressed concern over the growing tension between the government and ASU, warning that any disruption to the academic calendar will be unacceptable to Nigerian students. Comrade Oladoja noted that the education sector had enjoyed 2 uninterrupted academic years under President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope administration, a feat not recorded since the return to democracy in 1999. The NAN's president commended President Tinubu's education reforms, listing initiatives such as the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, removal of tertiary staff unions from IPPIS, reversal of the 40% IGR remittance policy, and special TED fund interventions as examples of the administration's commitment to education and students' welfare. He, however, said the recent threat of industrial action by ASU was jeopardizing this progress. Comrade Oladoja lamented that poor communication and delays in implementing agreements with ASU had created unnecessary tension. He further appealed to President Tinubu to personally intervene, warning that failure to act swiftly could erode the goodwill and stability achieved in the education sector. The Muslim Ummah of Southwest Nigeria, Muswen, has advocated greater political participation of Muslims in the southwest, in particular in Nigeria as a whole. The Islamic body made this advocacy during a visit to the President General League of Imams and Alfaz, Southwest Edo Delta, Sheikh Jamiu Kelere Bello, in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital. A statement by media officer for the League of Imams and Alfaz, Ekiti State, Alhaji Yusuf T. Akeoshola, said the visit was led by the chairman of Miswin Committee on Political Group and Good Governance, Professor Abdul Rashid Aderinoye, accompanied by Professor Musiliu Yahya, who is the Executive Secretary of Miswin. In his address, Professor Aderinoye explained that the committee was in Ekiti in furtherance of its quest for increased political participation of Muslims in Nigeria. The Muslim scholar hinted that the core mandate of the committee is to mobilize the Muslims in the southwest for effective participation in politics and good governance. He said the committee had come to consult with the spiritual leader and Grand Imam of Ekiti State so that he could help use his good office in mobilizing the religious leaders, missionaries, and all the associations for effective participation in governance. According to him, the meeting would be extended to all the Muslim groups and associations across the southwest in Nigeria, as the goal of Miswan is unity of purpose, unity of commitment to implement good governance in the state. In his remarks, the Executive Secretary, Professor Muslihu Yahya, commended the group report that exists between the religious leaders in the state and the government. He prayed that such understanding would lead to more inclusion of active Muslims in the political setting in Ekiti State. Responding, Sheikh Jamiu Kelere Bello thanked the Muslim team for the visit. The Muslim clergy promised to get the message across the relevant groups and associations ahead of the official visit of the committee to Ekiti. He pledged to mobilize all the stakeholders. Present at the meeting were representatives of the state and local government, imams, executive of the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, and other Muslim clerics. ComfortTV.channel news returns shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is ComfortTV.channel news. On business, Nigeria has presented its economic progress to the international financial community at the G24 meetings held on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., with key discussions centered on trade balance, currency cooperation, and sustained macroeconomic stability. The Nigerian delegation, led by the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, and the Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, disclosed that the Apex Bank is developing a framework that will make currency swaps with other countries mutually beneficial. Mr. Cardoso said the initiative aims to strengthen Nigeria's position in global trade and enhance liquidity support for key trading partners. He further noted that Nigeria's trade surplus has risen to 6% of the country's gross domestic product, and the development he attributed to consistent and disciplined macroeconomic management. According to the CBN governor, there is a strong link between maintaining macroeconomic stability and achieving sustainable growth. A statement issued by the Federal Ministry of Finance said the participation of Dr. Uzoka Anite at the G24 meetings represents the governor's continued engagement with global financial institutions to advance Nigeria's developmental goals. The G24 platform, which brings together finance ministers and central bank governors from developing and emerging economies, provided an opportunity for Nigeria to present its reform-driven progress and discuss policy coordination on global financial challenges. Zenith Bank PLC has marked a significant milestone with a closing gong ceremony at the Nigerian Exchange NGX, celebrating the successful conclusion of its public offer and the achievement of the Central Bank of Nigeria's CBN recapitalization target. The bank's recently concluded public offer, which was heavily oversubscribed, contributed 350.46 billion naira to its total capital raise, bringing its capital base to 614.65 billion naira. This positions Zenith Bank comfortably above the 500 billion naira regulatory threshold for banks with international authorization and underscores the strong confidence investors continue to place in the institution's leadership, performance, and growth strategy. Speaking at the ceremony, Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), Momotimi Agama, commended the success of the offer, describing it as a reflection of the market's strength and integrity. The Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Zenith Bank PLC, Adora Umeoji, described the accomplishment as both a regulatory milestone and a springboard for sustainable growth. She also acknowledged the role of NGX Invest as a vital enabler in achieving the bank's goals. The closing gong ceremony symbolized the beginning of a new chapter for Zenith Bank, one defined by strengthened capacity, innovation, and renewed investor confidence. It also underscored the productive collaboration between the bank, regulators, and the exchange group in fostering a resilient and dynamic capital market in Nigeria. On the foreign scene, Belgian police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse tens of thousands of protesters who filled the streets of Brussels to denounce Prime Minister Bart de Wever's proposed austerity measures. The mass demonstration, one of the largest in recent years, paralyzed traffic in the capital and coincided with nationwide strikes that cancelled most flights from Brussels airport. The protest, organized by Belgium's three main trade unions, drew between 80,000 and 150,000 people, according to estimate. Demonstrators banged drums, set up smoke bombs, and carried banners condemning planned cuts to pensions, unemployment benefits, and health care. Scuffles broke out as police in riot gear clashed with protesters, detaining several individuals and attempting to clear crowds from Central Street. The unrest reflects growing public anger over the government's fiscal plans aimed at tackling Belgium's high national debt, now exceeding 100% GDP. De Wever, who came to power in February at the head of the so-called Arizona government, has pledged to curb spending rather than raise taxes on the wealthy. The protest highlighted widespread opposition to the measures, particularly the proposed increase in the retirement age and reductions in social support programs. Still on the foreign scene, Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara has affirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening Damascus' strategic alliance with Moscow during high-level discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin. In a joint press conference following their meeting, President Shara emphasized his government's intention to preserve and enhance the bilateral relationship, noting Syria's recognition of all previous agreements and appreciation for the substantial historical partnership between the two nations. The Syrian leader specifically acknowledged the interconnected nature of Syrian-Russian cooperation, particularly within the energy sector, where he noted that a large part of Syria's energy sector depends on Russian expertise. This statement signals continuity in the strategic, economic, and technical cooperation that has characterized the relationship since Russia's decisive military intervention in the Syrian conflict beginning in 2015. President Shara's Moscow visit represents his first international trip since assuming leadership of Syria's transitional government, underscoring the priority Damascus places on maintaining strong ties with the Kremlin. The relationship has provided Syria with crucial diplomatic backing and military support throughout the country's prolonged conflict, while offering Russia strategic Mediterranean access and expanded Middle Eastern influence. On sports, Callum Smith is confident that he will finally fight David Benavidez at some point in 2026. Smith is currently in negotiations to make a dangerous mandatory defense of his WBO interim light heavyweight title against Cuban southpaw David Morrell, whilst Benavidez will put his WBC belt on the line against Britain's Anthony Yarde on the star-laden Ring IV, which takes place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on November 22. During an appearance, Smith revealed that while the PBC did make contact about a fight with Benavidez, it wasn't a great offer, and that further talks about the fight is taking place in Saudi Arabia and has barely started before he saw the news that Yarde had been handed a third shot at snaring a 175-pound title. Beating Joshua Buatsi to win the WBO interim title in February has afforded the former super middleweight champion the time and luxury of an ability to bid time and wait for the right offer to come his way. But the 35-year-old Liverpoolian did admit that missing out on the chance to become a two-division world champion has irked him. Smith is anticipating an entertaining, crowd-pleasing clash of styles when Benavidez and Yarde do get in the ring, but he believes that the 28-year-old workaholic will eventually prove to be too much for the explosive Londoner and retain his title. Still on sports, Tottenham Hotspur have announced that Fabio Paratici will return to his role of sporting director 2.5 years after he was banned by FIFA. BBC Sport reported in May that talks were underway about a possible comeback for the 53-year-old. Paratici will hold the position of joint sporting director with Johan Lange and oversee Spurs men's football strategy, including performance development, scouting and recruitment. He resigned from the role in April 2023 after his appeal against a 30-month FIFA ban for financial irregularities was rejected by Italy's highest sports court. The Italian was banned for his time at Juventus, where he was sporting director and managing director before joining Tottenham in 2021. After being found guilty of false accounting and deducted 10 points in Serie A. Last month, a judge in Rome accepted a plea bargain request by Paratici and other former Juventus executives, meaning he will not have to serve an 18-month prison sentence. Plea deals in Italy do not involve an admission of guilt or any acceptance of liability. Tottenham will complete their new leadership structure by recruiting a director of football operations to work alongside Paratici and Lange. And that's our news bulletin for today. But before we go, here's a recap of our top stories. Senator Wabara accuses the APC of stifling democracy in Nigeria. ADC opposes National Assembly's proposal for early general elections. Peter Obi blames APC policies for rising poverty. Abia State takes bold steps towards innovation as Governor Oti launches tech board. Nance gives ASU and the federal government 7 days to resolve dispute. Ms. Wen seeks greater political participation of Muslims in Nigeria. On business, CBN and Finance Ministry present Nigeria's economic progress at G24 meeting. On the foreign scene, Belgian police clash with protesters as austerity anger grips Brussels. And on sports, Callum Smith confident of securing David Benavidez fight in 2026. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.